It says, listen to a story. Once 3 friends were going through the forest when a tiger suddenly appeared before them. "Brothers," one of them exclaimed, "we are lost." "Why should you say that?" said the second friend. "Why should we be lost?" "Come, let us pray to God. Come, let us pray to God." The third friend said, "No, why should we trouble God? Come, let us climb this tree." And so I didn't do the cadence very well in this little story. But the friend who said, "We are lost," did not know that there is a God who is our protector. The friend who asked the others to pray to God was a Jnani. He was aware that God is the creator, preserver, and destroyer of the world. The third friend, who didn't want to trouble God with prayers and suggest climbing the tree, had ecstatic love of God. It is the very nature of such, and So to paraphrase, perhaps we're in a forest. A tiger comes. What's a tiger? I would suppose, the woman who came before me, that there's many ways to interpret each part of a parable. And the tiger, I was thinking about it, and the tiger certainly could be any type of something that we're really afraid of. Anything, it could actually mean something that could cause our death. Now, most probably, when dealing with parables that Ramakrishna liked, it isn't a physical death that we're talking about. It's this tiger is coming into the forest, and at least for all 3 of them, it means something a little bit. It means the same, but they all react to it a little bit differently. The first one who says we are lost, I assume that it kind of means, but we are lost, that, oh boy, we've had it. We've had it. Here's a tiger, we're gone. We're soon to meet. We're soon to meet death. And then it says in here, this person had no real knowledge. This person was living in what we call sometimes ignorance. Ignorance meaning what? Ignorance meaning we think perhaps that this Maya, this world of illusion, some people say, many people say, even physicists nowadays may say, this world of illusion is actually real. Remember when we're asked, lead us from the unreal to the real. I think that's the ignorance. Lead us from ignorance to knowledge. Now, knowledge in Sanskrit is, I won't go into all that because it gets into an area I know very little about. As soon as I start talking about Sanskrit, we're all in trouble. We're all in trouble. But I thought about it. The tiger, too, it's a temptation. Here comes a tiger. Into this world comes a temptation. What are we going to do about it? I'm lost. I'm not going to put up a fight. I haven't conducted myself and learned and perhaps worked on some of my samskaras, some of my past, in order to be able to take care of that temptation, in order to get by with that temptation. Now, what someone else does, the second person, the Jnani, who, as again the woman said, very good oftentimes, pundits, people in all over the world who are experts in something, oftentimes academic experts. But it's interesting that Swami Vivekananda, remember when he would come and he was young and he was full of vinegar, he was full of life, and he would sit with Ramakrishna and he would dispute everything Ramakrishna said. He had this inquiry, he wanted to know, he did not want to be duped. I think he knew, like we know, that one has to be careful in religions. One has to be careful in the spiritual path. There's a lot of cons. There's a lot of people that are not so insincere, and it's easy to go down a path that might not be fruitful. Ramakrishna knew the spiritual life like no one I've ever come across in anything. I feel very strongly personally about Ramakrishna. And his history, being an Orthodox priest, being a Brahmin, being a priest at the Kali temple, he looked at, I think, the tiger in certain ways. The tiger was something that could possibly interfere with his path toward mother. Of course, it came to a point where he was ready to lose his life if mother didn't show herself to him. Now that gets to be, there's someone down here that says, the Jnani says, you know what? God is the creator, he's the preserver, he's the destroyer. Let's get him on the phone. Let's get him on the phone, he'll take care of things. But there was a third one, and he said, why? And I think this third one's a little bit more like Ramakrishna. Why bother God? Why bother God when I have the abilities, because of my study, because of my spiritual life, hopefully a little bit of growth in this life, perhaps growth in past lives. Why should I depend on God with everything? How about action? How about action? How about my own action? I am a part of God. We are all Brahman. We are all parts of Brahman. We're not parts of Brahman. We are made of Brahman. We are made of God. We are divine. The strength that we had, again, Swami Vivekananda, always talking about pushing it forward. Get out your exercise machines and pump yourself up spiritually and sometimes physically, and go out there and don't stop until the goal is reached. I think that that's the third person says we have to take some action, and there's no sense in bothering God. We can climb this tree, and the situation is over. What is this tree? What is this tree? According to me, in my thoughts, it's a path to Brahman. It's a path to Brahman. It's also a tree, and I kept thinking it's not a big Bodhi tree like this one here. It's a thinner tree, and he's going up, or this person, all three of them can go up, and it reminds me too of the Kundalini up the spine. We're going up, we're going up, we're going up from a base to a liberation. And I think that none of that is possible without action. I think that the pundit, I say the pundit, but he wasn't known as a pundit, he's a jnani. A jnani to me is a very respectable term, and I think in jnana yoga and the study of a little bit more esoteric Advaita Vedanta, where it's Brahman, it isn't Krishna, it isn't even Ramakrishna, it's Brahman itself. How do we even, Brahman is God. Brahman is beyond cognitive thought when you get to it. How is a human being going to work without cognitive thought? And that's why I think this parable, it calls on us in the real world. The world of Maya and the world of spirituality in Maya. And it says, if something comes, be it a temptation, be it death, you are going to call on yourself to try to get out of it. Death, you're not going to get out of. But that's just a transition to something else. It's a transition perhaps to another tree, we're going to cross, or that we're going to climb. Certainly the one in ignorance, we know a lot of these people. And if we don't know a lot of these people, maybe like me, sometimes I am these people. You know, we think of people and we think of characters like in a parable, and we think they're like that all the time. They're not. I'm afraid that my mouth has gone dry. But I forgot. Oh, thank you. I'm hungry too. Am I about done? In any event, this parable in the forest, the tiger, what to do with the tiger? It's interesting. The second one, who wants to pray. That's there's a kind of a wonderful naivete about that, I believe. But I'm reminded of a story where someone goes into their closet and opens it and goes inside and sits down and prays to God for a hot dog. And no hot dog comes. Now, of course, if he got up and went into the kitchen, he's got all sorts of good food. He'd cook it, he'd do it himself. And he would no longer be hungry. He would get his hot dog if that's what he wanted. But so sometimes, using the common sense that we were born with, using this amazing little machine that we are, especially in a spiritual growth, I may be not so humble when I think of that, but I think that we're all learning all the time. Our cells are learning. We're learning just being here. We're learning certainly being in this room. And the parable, I actually think you can be a Yanni and you can be fine too. Unfortunately, you'll probably be eaten by a tiger. So it's kind of all left to us. For myself, though I want to pretend that I'm a yogi, and have everybody look at my little hair and come up to me and talk about meditation outside. It's great for your pride. It's great for your ego. It's not so good for your spiritual condition. And I'll find out immediately when that happens.